Kallu's World 4. Hero Horoscope Man. Author, Subhadra Senator Gupta. Illustrator, Tapas Guha. Kallu stood frowning up at a huge poster stuck on the wall of the school compound. Maiden Murari Dev Maharaj is here. He read out aloud. Astrologer, master of horoscopes, Tantra Expert. He turned to his best friend Damu, who was standing beside him, and asked, "What's a Kundalini?" As they walked away, Shabo, who had got 4 out of 10 in the last maths test, asked thoughtfully, "Do you think he could predict the questions in tomorrow's class test?" Soon the news of the astrologer had spread across Khajuria village. According to Damu's grandmother Moti Dati, Murari Dev had to just look into your eyes and say a mantra and he instantly knew everything about you. Your past, present, future were all transferred to his mind like magic. Saru and Munyu were in class 8 and Shabo, who was the youngest, was in the 7th. In the school register, Kallu was Kallan, Damu was Damodar, Munyu was Munira, Saru was Saraswati and Shabo was Shabar, but even their school principal, Musturji, often forgot their real names. Peering in, they discovered that the main tent was packed with people. They squeezed in at the back and looked around. It looked like the whole village was present. "Of course I did," Damu gave a superior smile. He never missed out on important matters like food. "They are making halwa and puri with a sly ghee." "Ah ha ha ha." Badri rolled his eyes in ecstasy. "Raghu Singh is a fool," Mangu Mali said grimly, "feeding everyone and wasting money like this." A sort of stage had been built in front with folding tables. A very tall, thin man was busy covering it with a mattress and a white sheet, and then he placed a couple of bolsters on top. He lit a bunch of incense sticks and waved them about in the air. Maiden Murari Dev Maharaj was late, and everyone was getting restless. Heads kept turning to the opening in the tent to see if he was coming. A couple of babies began to bawl, then Moti Dati had a coughing fit and Saru had to go out and get her a glass of water. Bilo Chachi had come prepared to wait and had nearly finished knitting the sleeve of a sweater. Noticing the growing restlessness, Paltan Pandi suddenly sat down with a harmonium and began to sing a bhajan in a flat, tuneless moan. Everyone was falling into a bored trance when, to their surprise, Paltan suddenly shot up his arms in the air and yelled "Jai Murari Dev," making everyone jump. Murari Dev was quite short and wearing a bright red flowing silk robe, and rows of multicolored beads were hanging around his neck. His long, grey beard flowed down over his generous pot belly, and he was quite bald. There was a red tikka drawn on his forehead, and even though it was evening, to everyone's surprise he wore a jazzy pair of dark glasses. Paltan rushed up with a glass of water. Raghu Singh switched on a table fan. Murari Dev cleared his throat, checked his watch, and pulled the mic closer. "Please start," Damu muttered. "The halwa is getting cold." With majestic slowness, Murari Dev stood up, walked to the edge of the stage, and with a dramatic flourish, waved his podgy hands in the air. Suddenly walnuts and raisins were raining on the audience. Behind the astrologer, Paltan was banging away at the harmonium and swaying to the tune. Murari Dev waved his arms again, and more raisins and walnuts flew around. There was pandemonium in the pandal. Paltan and Raghu Singh were frantically searching for him. Moti Dati was weeping loudly and calling out, "Maharajap kahan ho?" Masterji was yelling at the gang, ordering them to go and find a torch. And in the middle of all the chaos, Badri and Mangu Mali stood there, laughing their heads off.